Hi everyone, this time we are going to talk about a widely discussed topic in this city. What happened to Shanghainese? We will explain everything with detail so it will be easy for you guys to make your own judgment.
Shanghainese belongs to Taihu branch of Wu Chinese, one of the major dialect groups in eastern China. Wu Chinese have a long history. There have been ancient Wu lyrics recorded in books since Jin Dynasty, although Wu had never become the official language in an area. It is more like ancient Chinese than Mandarin. Shanghainese, for example, keeps the check tone, so-called entering tone, and the vowels that doesn't exist in Mandarin anymore. Shanghai has been absorbing Mandarins from other provinces for more than 150 years. They brought dialects from different places and affected Shanghainese. As a result, Shanghainese is slowly changing itself into a simpler language and causes different accents to appear. In the classic accent, there were 51 different vowels. In the middle accent, there are 43. New accent has 32. The simpleness makes Shanghainese easy to understand among Wu Chinese. Shanghainese was the lingua franca in the Yangtze River Delta in 1970s. However, it isn't anymore. Mandarin took over the dominance.
Maybe this kind of language will lose in 10 years or 20 years because no one wants to speak it.
According to the Statistics Bureau, 14.5 million of the population are local residents and 9.77 million are migrant residents in 2019, not mentioning non-resident migrants. Most of these migrants can speak Shanghainese. Meanwhile, the number of young Shanghainese speakers has been shrinking rapidly. A study in 2010 showed that 52.3% of students believe Mandarin is easier than Shanghainese for communication, and 47.6% of these students choose to speak Mandarin because it is a mandatory language at school. In 2021, another survey said around one-third of people under the age of 30 can only understand Shanghainese, and 8.7% of respondents under 18 cannot even understand it. According to UNESCO's Atlas of the World's Languages in Dangers, Shanghainese is definitely endangered, meaning children not speaking. This means the popularity of Shanghainese speakers might not drop very fast, but as those people get old, surely there will be less people that uses this dialect.
The reason of this declination might be: first, the policies has encouraged people to speak Mandarin for decades, especially students. Since the 1960s, all schools in Shanghai have been popularizing Mandarin. Until now, Shanghainese is still absent in Chinese lessons. The effect is, the language environment changed. Do you often speak Shanghainese in your family, like to your family members or to your child?
Yes, I think this is the only language we use in family. Yes, Shanghainese.
Including to your child?
Yes, sometimes I speak Mandarin with my child, but mostly we use dialect.
So that is kind of not so common actually.
Actually, we speak Shanghainese at home, but my son, and actually he cannot speak Shanghainese. He can only listen to us.
Children no longer use Shanghainese to communicate with each other. The parents should be the people who teach children dialect, but as students decades ago grew up and became new parents, they also refuse to speak Shanghainese to their offsprings. Shanghainese is no longer the native language of most of children now. Me, for example, can understand my parents and grandparents when they speak dialect, but I rarely speak it to classmates or friends. When I try to speak it, my pronunciation is often incorrect, and I know very few slangs. Have you ever seen Shanghainese in a written form? For example, to use Chinese character to spell Shanghainese words. Have you seen something like that?
Yes, sometimes if like something like emoji when we chat in WeChat or in the
Yes, like a few characters.
Yes, and it's not very common. It's very, I saw several times.
The other reason might be Shanghainese is often a verbal language. It is hard to use Chinese characters to spell all Shanghainese words. Some people and associations are trying to develop a writing form Shanghainese, but until now nothing really changed. And there is a third problem. Despite the large popularity of Shanghainese users now, it is always hard to find Shanghainese media, including songs, movies, dramas, and TV programs. So, have you ever watched a movie or drama in Shanghainese, or have you seen others or watched that kind of artwork?
Artwork, movie, or
Drama.
drama?
Yeah.
Not often.
Not
Sometimes, maybe about 10 years ago, the talk show in Shanghainese is a little common, but recently, it's very difficult to find yes, drama or something in Shanghainese. Yeah.
For comparison, we can look for another dialect that is Cantonese. Cantonese is facing the same crisis Shanghainese is, but not so severe. The reason could be the three problems of Shanghainese never happened on it. Cantonese is still the official language in Hong Kong and Macau. There is Cantonese in written form, Cantonese music, and movies are also famous across the world. These phenomena protect Cantonese from meeting the same fate as Shanghainese. So, have you ever heard of seeing someone say that saying Shanghainese or the existence of Shanghainese is kind of a sign of discrimination towards migrants from other places? Have you ever heard of that kind of opinion?
I heard from internet, but in my life, and actually, I have many friends from different cities. Yes, and I think they're more willing to hear me speak Shanghainese, and they are willing to learn from me.
Oh, really?
And even if I'm very close to them, and I will teach them, yes, how to speak Shanghainese and some meanings in Shanghainese and sayings.
Okay.
Yes.
Different people may have different views on the declination of Shanghainese. After investigating, we found out that some local citizens believe that it's a kind of extinction of local culture. They think that Shanghainese needs to be carried over by different generations. But in contrast, some people think that Shanghainese is harmful for the globalization of the city. They think that speaking Shanghainese makes migrants hard to understand, and that can be a symbol of anti-foreign. These two groups of people cause most of arguments on the internet. In recent years, the government did notice the Shanghainese crisis and take some actions. For example, buses and metros in Shanghai started to use Shanghainese broadcast. There is also few Shanghainese songs in the music textbooks. However, due to some reports of official medias criticizing Shanghainese, for many citizens, they want stronger policy to protect their dialect.
As the dialect of Shanghai, Shanghainese itself represents the culture of the city. However, it is just abnormal for a dialect to cause so many arguments. In fact, the popularity of Shanghainese shows a broader topic, the conflict between migrants and local citizens. This can be the cultural conflict, but it can also show some inequalities that migrants suffer from. But anyway, for the issue of Shanghainese, there's one thing every Shanghai citizen should remember. As an immigration city, the spirit of Shanghai is tolerance. No matter local people, migrants, or the government, it is always important to accept changes and respect other cultures.
I think if we look back maybe 50 years or or even 100 years ago. And I don't think Shanghai has I think the local culture in Shanghai is like a combined culture, because this is the place like the center. It's the center, and the people come from different cities, different countries, and they lived here. So they form kind of culture or habitat.